There are airplanes you sell, and then there are airplanes that never really leave you. Even decades later, you still hear their engine in your memory. You still remember how the yoke felt, how the wings moved in turbulence, how the runway looked through that windshield. Today, we're talking about 6 planes pilots never forget, not because they were perfect, but because they changed something inside us. And as we go, I want you to think about this question. Which airplane did that for you? Drop its name in the comments. Let's build a wall of memories together. Let's start with a legend, the Cessna 172 Skyhawk. For many pilots, this was the first real airplane they ever touched. The first time ground fell away beneath them. The 172 isn't exciting on paper, but emotionally, it's powerful. High wing, stable platform, forgiving nature. It let nervous students breathe. It let new pilots believe. Even today, thousands of senior pilots say, if I could only keep one airplane, it would be a 172. Why? Because it never scared them. It supported them. But there's something deeper here. The 172 didn't just teach people how to fly, it taught them how to think like pilots. It taught energy management, patience, discipline. You learned to feel the wind instead of fight it. You learned that flying is not about dominating the sky, it's about cooperating with it. Many pilots who moved on to faster, more complex aircraft still say nothing ever felt as honest as a Skyhawk on a calm morning. No tricks, no ego, just air, wings, and decisions. What makes the 172 unforgettable is not just what it does in the air, but what it does inside your head. It builds quiet confidence. It lets you make mistakes without punishing you for them. It gives you time to think. That is a rare gift in aviation. Many pilots say the Skyhawk is where they first learned to trust themselves, and that memory never fades. So here's a real question. Is the best airplane the one that goes the fastest, or the one that made you feel safe enough to fall in love with flying? Tell me what you think. Now let's talk about something very different. The Piper J3 Cub. No electrical system, no fancy avionics, just fabric, stick, rudder, and sky. Flying a Cub doesn't feel like operating a machine. It feels like wearing wings. You smell the grass. You feel every gust. You land not because instruments tell you to, but because your instincts do. The Cub forces you to be present. You can't hide behind autopilots or screens. It's you, the wind, and your hands. Many pilots who flew jets, turboprops, and glass cockpit aircraft later in life say the Cub was the most meaningful airplane they ever flew, because it reminded them why they fell in love with flying in the first place. No schedules, no ATC chatter, just freedom. What makes the Cub unforgettable is its honesty. It exposes bad habits and rewards good ones. It teaches you to use your feet, not just your hands. It teaches you to read the sky. And when you grease a Cub onto a grass strip at sunset, there's a feeling no modern aircraft can replicate. A feeling of being part of aviation history. Many older pilots say flying a Cub is like going back in time, back to when aviation was about adventure instead of paperwork. So here's the debate. Do we lose something when we add more technology, or do we gain something? Drop your thoughts below. This is one of aviation's biggest philosophical questions. Now let's move to an airplane that taught confidence. The Beechcraft Bonanza. This was the airplane that made private pilots feel like professionals. Smooth, fast, solid. When you sat in a Bonanza, you felt respected by the sky. It had a reputation, sometimes dangerous, sometimes brilliant, but always serious. For many pilots, their first Bonanza flight was the moment they realized they weren't just flying around anymore. They were truly traveling. The Bonanza demanded more from you. More planning, more discipline, more respect for speed and weather. But in return, it gave you something priceless: pride. You weren't just a weekend flyer anymore. You were a serious aviator. Many pilots remember the first time they pushed that throttle forward and felt the aircraft surge, and something inside them changed. It wasn't fear, it was responsibility. What makes the Bonanza unforgettable is that it forces you to grow up as a pilot. It teaches you that speed amplifies mistakes. It teaches you that professionalism matters. Pilots remember the Bonanza because it marked the moment they stopped being students of aviation and became stewards of it. And here's something to think about. Do we remember airplanes because of how they flew, or because of how they made us feel about ourselves? I'd love to hear your answer. Next, a workhorse with 1,000 stories. The Cessna 182 Skylane. If the 172 is your teacher, the 182 is your partner. More power, more capability. Still honest, still predictable. Many families crossed continents in these airplanes. Many businesses were built in them. Many emergencies were handled with their steady wings. The 182 has carried newborn babies home from hospitals. It has carried aging parents to see their grandchildren one last time. It has carried doctors, engineers, and dreamers across mountains and deserts. This airplane didn't just fly, it served, and pilots remember that. They remember the weight of real responsibility in the seat beside them. What makes the 182 unforgettable is how much trust it earns. You trust it in weather, you trust it in mountains, you trust it when something matters. That kind of relationship between pilot and machine is rare, and it lasts a lifetime. So tell me, what was your first airplane that made you feel responsible for someone else's life? That moment changes everything. Now let's talk about an airplane that felt like freedom itself. The Grumman AA-5 Traveler and Tiger. Sliding canopy, fighter-like visibility, light controls. It felt playful. Many pilots describe their Grumman as the airplane that made them smile the most. Not the fastest, not the fanciest, but joyful. The Grumman felt alive. You didn't just fly it, you danced with it. It rewarded smoothness and punished roughness. And that made pilots better. Many who flew Grummans say they still miss that feeling of the sky rushing past their shoulders, nothing between them and the horizon. What makes the Grumman unforgettable is how personal it felt. You weren't isolated from the world, you were part of it. It wasn't a flying living room, it was a flying soul. And once you experience that, you never forget it. In aviation, joy is rare, and when an airplane gives it to you, you never forget. So here's the question. Should we choose airplanes that impress or airplanes that make us happy? I want your honest answer in the comments. And finally, the quiet modern memory maker, the Cirrus SR-22. Love it or hate it, this airplane changed general aviation. Glass cockpits, safety systems, the parachute. For many senior pilots, the SR-22 gave them something priceless, confidence to keep flying longer. It wasn't just about speed. It was about staying in the air when age, weather, and doubt started creeping in. For many retired pilots, the SR-22 meant they didn't have to give up flying when their reflexes slowed. The technology didn't replace skill, it supported it. It gave them a second chance at freedom. It allowed pilots to say, "I'm not done yet." What makes the SR-22 unforgettable is not just what it can do, but what it allows people to keep doing. It lets them keep being pilots. And that is powerful. So let me ask you something important. When you look back on your flying life, what will you remember more? The airplanes that challenged you, or the airplanes that stayed with you? Because in the end, we don't remember specs. We remember moments, we remember feelings, we remember who we were when we flew them. Now tell me, which plane will never leave you? Put its name in the comments.